So the new Assassin's Creed Shadows, has finally gotten its first trailer and reveal of the two protagonists that are going to be in the game. Now, before we got the trailer, we did know that the game was going to be set in Japan, which, I mean, for a long time, considering that the game is, and the franchise has been about assassins, a lot of people for a long time now have wanted the game to be set in Japan during, like, the time of the ninjas and the Ronins and the samurais for a long time now. I mean, me as well, but more like, in the earlier days of Assassin's Creed, I haven't really been a fan of, the Assassin's Creed games for a long time now, and I'll talk about that a little bit as the video goes on. But we finally did get the trailer yesterday by the time this video is out, and we got a look at the first two protagonists. And one of these protagonists is causing a massive fucking stir up on the internet, and that is the male protagonist that is going to be played in this game, Yasuke. Now, in this video, I am going to be taking a neutral stance in it. I am not going to be favoring one side of whether he should be in the game or shouldn't be. That's how I like to do my videos, a lot of the times, unless it's blatantly obvious. But I'm going to see both sides of this, because that's where I am even coming from. Because even me personally, I'm just kind of like, oh, yeah, I see where this person's going, but I see where these people are saying as well. So a lot of people are first off saying that, it's kind of bullshit that Yasuke is in the game, like, itself, because it's the first time ever that, like, an Assassin's Creed game is taking place within Japan. Like, Assassin's Creed has been around for fucking age. Like, I can't even remember when the first Assassin's Creed first came out. Like, it came out in the fucking 2000s, I'm pretty sure. I remember when I played Assassin's Creed 2. I played the fuck out of that game. I mean, look at this. I even have an Assassin's Creed 3 statue. That's from the deluxe edition of Assassin's Creed 3. Like, that's how much I used to love the games. I have one of the collector's books too. Like, look at this. That's how much I used to love Assassin's Creed when I was younger. It's the first time that it's so. And every single other game, when it's taken place in that certain time period, it's always staying true to, like, the type of people that would be around during that time. So when it came to the first game, Altair, that was, like, within the Middle East. So obviously he was Arabic. Assassin's Creed 2, Revelations and Brotherhood, that was taking place in Italy. So obviously, Ezio Auditore was Italian. Then the third game took place during, like, the American Civil War. So the main character, he was Native American, where his father was white and then his mother was Native American, because, during the time of the I think it was the Civil War that it took place. And was it the Civil War or was it earlier? I can't remember exactly off the top. I know it was the Civil War. Yeah, a lot of time during that time, they were trying to wipe out Native Americans by, white people sleeping with them to, get rid of them, which, I mean, is fucking horrible, but, that's what happened. Assassin's Creed 4, I'm not really sure about Kenway. I think he was, like, I can't remember really, like, too much about what nationality he was. That was taking place in, like, the Caribbean. And then we have, like, all the other games as well, the even recent ones. Origins was taking place in Egypt. The main characters are Egyptian. Odyssey, they're Greek. And then Valhalla, they're Scandinavian. And then when it came to them finally making a game in Japan, one of the main protagonists is an African American. Is an African. I almost said African American, but no, he was African. But then there's a lot of people on the other side that are like, hey, this was an actual historical person, which it was. Yasuke, or however you say his name, I'm probably going to butcher it multiple times, and I don't know how to say the female protagonist's name, which I'm not really too fussed if there's a female protagonist in the game. I mean, I see a lot of other people, like, saying, like, oh, why the hell is she female? I'm just like, oh, well, whatever, that doesn't, like, matter too much, and people aren't really kicking up a fuss as much about that as they are with Yasuke. But with Yasuke, people are saying that, oh, he's a historical figure, which he was. He was the first ever foreign person to become a samurai, and he was, in fact, African. But the thing with it, when it comes to Yasuke, and the thing that I've seen a lot, because I did try to watch, like, a couple videos about him and read up a little bit about him, unfortunately, there's actually not that much about this guy. Like, there is a little bit documented, but it's, like, some of it's very scarce, and there's only, like, a certain amount documented on him, and then a lot of the other stuff that's talked about when it's come to him, a lot of it's just more hearsay, and, like, a lot of historians don't actually know if what's said about him is necessarily true. But what we do know is that, yes, he was a foreign-born person. He was born, I don't know exactly, can't remember exactly off the top of my head, like, what country, but it was definitely, a country in Africa. He was brought over to Japan as a slave, and then he was seen by, like the person that he ended up serving under, and he became a samurai. Now, a lot of people are also saying that no, he wasn't a samurai. He was a retainer. That's not a samurai. As a matter of fact, when it comes to retainers are a type of samurai. I think from like what I've looked into, and just remember, just if I'm wrong about some of this, like some of the more minute details, I probably am wrong, but the way that I saw it is retainers are more like they kind of retain the throne, and they're more of like a bodyguard towards like whoever they're serving under. So he in fact was a type of samurai, and he was historically known as the first ever foreign person to be named a samurai. But I also saw this on Wikipedia, which I mean, we can't necessarily trust Wikipedia, but I saw that this is he wasn't actually, there's no historical writings of him actually given the title of samurai, which I mean, like I said, it is Wikipedia, and let's be honest, we can't necessarily trust Wikipedia all that much. But obviously, a lot of people are just saying, hey, who really cares? So what if it's a black main character? So what? You know, at least they're having some kind of representation in it, which I mean is kind of fair enough. But we know why Ubisoft is doing this. They're not doing this because they want to tell a great story. They're not doing this because it's just like, oh yes, we want to tell a story about the first ever black samurai. They're just doing this for brownie points. I mean, let's be realistic. When it comes to a lot of the Western development studios, when it comes to video games these days, and even Western media, in general, when it comes to them putting any diversity into culture, a lot of the times these days, they don't really do it for like the sake of telling a good story. They just do it for the sake of like trying to please a lot of people, which for me, I fucking hate, because you could tell a great story with some diversity, but actually focusing on the story. But when it comes to this, I don't like it, because I just see them as shoving him in as the main character for like the sake of like saying like, hey guys, look how diverse we're being. Look at this. Look, we've put Yasuke, the famously black samurai, into the game. That's right. We're putting him into the game. Oh, wow, have a look at this, guys. And it's not the first time that we've seen, you know, a historical figure from that time who is actually not Japanese. Nioh, which is also a samurai game, had, I think his name was Alex Williamson. Probably the most famous foreign samurai ever to exist, and he was actually an Englishman, and that whole entire game is about him. Now, obviously, you know, it's not particularly real. You know, Nioh is based off the real guy, but you know, obviously, the game itself, it isn't real. But that was, I think, where that one kind of passes off a little bit more is that game was made by a Japanese studio, where, you know, Assassin's Creed is made by Ubisoft, which is a Western developed country, a Western developed, you know, studio, where Nioh, you know, it is Japanese. So it's when they're like doing that, you know, that they are doing it for the sake of wanting to tell like a really good story, and not just going like, hey, let's diverse this game just a little bit more. Where Ubisoft's kind of thing is that they're just doing it for the sake of diversity. And one thing that like I think is like, I don't necessarily like this, is that I don't like it because, you know, I don't care that he's black. I honestly don't really give a shit. But one thing that I hate that they're like diverting from when it comes to a lot of the other games is that when it's come to the main protagonist, is that the main protagonists in every single other game have been fiction. Like, they are the ones that are made up, and then they're dropped into the world, and then there's also other famous people, like people in historical times, that are there around them. Like, one of the most famous ones that obviously sticks out to me is Da Vinci with Ezio Auditore. Like, to me, that's the most iconic, is having like this famous historical figure, you know, being in the world that we're playing in, but the main protagonist that we're playing as is someone that's completely made up. And I feel like they could have done so much better with Yasuke. I feel like adding him into the game, but not as the protagonist, but as someone who's in the game who you interact with, would have been like so much better. Also because like they're straying away from his actual, you know, historical meaning. He himself was a retainer, and he himself was more of like a bodyguard, and he fought like alongside who he was fighting for. I can't remember the guy's name, but the clan that he was fighting for, he fought for them and them only. Where in the game, he's like going off and doing his own thing. To me, it's just like, you're not really staying faithful to the actual historical figure then. You're just putting him in the game for the sake of putting him in the game instead of actually, wanting to make a game about him. And even then, like, I don't really like the fact that a samurai is, a protagonist in Assassin's Creed. I've only played up to Assassin's Creed 4 because after that, it really dips off. And the recent Assassin's Creed games like Odyssey and Valhalla, they're more of a, action games than they are assassin and stealth games. I've seen a lot of gameplay of it, and it's now just turned into an action game, which I mean, it is fair enough when you have a samurai in there, because samurais are more of a warrior, where, having ninjas is more of that stealth assassin game, where to me, if they had both of the main characters as ninjas, that would be, like, way cooler. A lot, like a ninja fucking duo would be so much better, where a samurai is just more, all about, warriors and like front line and big, and they have these massive armors. How am I meant to hide in a fucking bush when all you hear is the armor just clanking together? You ain't gonna be stealth away from that shit. No, to me, that's absolute bullshit. But I think the one thing that both sides of this can agree on, for people who like Yasuke and people who don't like him being in the game, like I said, I'm in the middle. I don't really care that he himself is in the game, but I think that they're just doing it for the sake of doing it. And I feel like, from what I've seen and what I've read about, like, the way the story is going to go, is that they're kind of going away from him as a historical figure. Like, they're not even telling his story, which is, like, kind of showing that, hey, they're just chucking this guy in the game. But the one thing that we both can agree on is this right here. And this is in Australian dollars, and I just want to say this is criminal. This is fucking criminal. I covered this when they released the prices for the Star Wars game. I can't remember what the fuck it's called off the top of my head. But this right here is criminal. $190 for an Ultimate Edition. $190 fucking dollars. You want to know what's wild about some of the stuff as well? Is that, like, you have to pre-order the game or you miss out on some missions. There are some missions that you won't have if you don't get some of the bonuses. That's fucking right. That to me is criminal. If there's anything bad that's coming out about this, fuck, who cares? Yasuke being black, I don't give a shit. This I care about. This is what really matters. This right here is criminal. Ubisoft, it's fucking criminal. Absolute criminal. $24 a month? $24 a month you want me to pay Ubisoft Plus? Man, you're not the old Ubisoft, okay? The only thing you guys got going for you right now is R6 Siege. That's it. Everything else is fucking dog shit. And you want us to pay this much? $100 just for the base game? The fucking base game? No! I ain't paying that shit. I went ahead and I bought Hades 2 the other day. You know how much Hades 2 is right now? That game is currently sitting at 44 Australian dollars. And by God, you can bet your goddamn ass that Hades 2, even though it's in early access at the moment, is going to be 10 times better than Assassin's Creed Shadows ever wish it could fucking be. That right there, the prices are what's criminal. Not the fact that they put a black man in a Japanese world in the game. Who gives a fuck about that? I care about the fucking prices. It's bullshit. Stupid. This game's... Ubisoft, suck my ass, honestly. But I'd like to hear what you guys have to think about this down below. Like, do you think it's stupid that he's in the game? Do you not? Do you care? Do you not care? I mean, if you care, that's fine. If you don't care, that's also fine. Just don't berate people for having their own opinions. But that's it from me. Peace out.